Here he goes. Good morning. Instead of doing live on Facebook, I thought I'd give the rib a chance because she's very sensitive, and it's early in the morning, January 28th, I believe, 2018. And I was reviewing myself and how I'd been acting because once upon a time I used to drink and stink. And honey,
Yes,
what was you saying about me?
I said
Speak up so they can hear you, don't we?
I
What did
said
you
when
say
you were
about me?
drinking, it was good because she was quiet. Now that you done woke up, you're very opinionated.
Opinionated?
Yes.
What does that mean?
You talk too much.
I talk too much. Pastors are saying I need to change my attitude.
Amen.
Family is saying I need to send Bible verses to myself, right? Okay. So I think what it is, I'm going to change my attitude. I'm going to find a new and better way to say no because I'm not doing nonsense anymore and I'm not pretending. Is that understood, everybody? Honey, is that good enough?
That's good.
I should change my attitude, right?
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to change my attitude. And in lieu of that, I'm going to be sharing some music because next week I'll be going to LA and changing my attitude.
Attitude adjustment.
Uh, I'm going to have an attitude adjustment. That's what they call it. An attitude adjustment. I'm going to find a new way to say no. Okay.
Hallelujah.
Be blessed. Having said that, I will be going nonprofit. What is nonprofit? I'm going to let my colleague explain it to you, and you could not have received it any better. Check this out.
Um, anyway, um, someone had wrote in and asked me about starting a business, a nonprofit, and I said I would do a video about it. First couple of things that you have to do when you're starting a nonprofit is you need to come up with a mission statement. A mission statement tells why your organization is in existence, why you've decided to bring this organization together, what it's going to do. That's your mission statement, okay? And obviously you came up with the organization because you felt a need to help or meet a need, which is a great thing. I love to see people help out. I love to see people want to help others. So first you want to start your mission statement. You're going to need a board of directors, an odd number of people, no more than 7. I know people who have 12, 20 people on their board. It's overkill. Hold on, my camera's about to cut off. Hey, yikes. Hold on, guys. There we go. Woo. It's overkill to have any more than 7, and you want to have an odd number because when you vote on things, you want to be able to have a tiebreaker if need be. So, your mission statement, board of directors, your operating statement, which basically says how your organization is and is not going to operate. Not operating statement. I meant to say your bylaws. You have to come up with bylaws. That's a must. And they need to be in place before you get your 501c3, preferably. Also, what you're going to need is an articles of incorporation. You either do an articles of incorporation, your LLC, whatever you're going to do, whatever you decide to do as an individual or working or partnering with someone else. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Now, the cost of your 501c3 or your nonprofit status depends on how much money you bring in every year. And I believe it works out to be that if you bring in $500 or less, then I think it costs about 100 and something. When I got my 501c3, which was in June of 2002. When I got my 501, I started my organization in November 2001, but I didn't get my 501c3 until June 2002. And when I got that, it was decided that, when I got that, I knew then that I was not going to make over $500 a year, because as a nonprofit, your goal is to recycle the money back into your organization constantly, or, it pays out your salary or your employee's salary, but there's never a profit made. That's why it's called a nonprofit, okay? So when I got my 501c3, it cost, I believe, $150, because I had established that I was not going to make any more than $500 a year, okay? Now, if you're going to make over $500 a year, no, over, what is it? I think over $10,000 a year or $500 a year, then you have to pay, no, if you're going to make over $10,000 a year, then you have to pay $500 to get your nonprofit status, okay? If you think you're going to make a profit of $500 or more. I knew I wasn't going to make a profit. My money was going to be to pay myself, to pay my employees, and to continue rendering services for the community and those that I serve with my nonprofit. Okay? So I'm guessing for most of us, including me, you won't have to spend any more than $150. Now, that was 2002. I don't know if the amount has gone up, but what I will do in the description box, I will put a link for you to go and get your 501c3 form. Now, do not be intimidated by this form. It's about 25 pages. Don't be intimidated. Most people get papers from the government and they're like, oh God, I can't do this. But you can do it. Read through everything before you fill out anything. That's what I always tell people. Read through the entire document before you put pen to paper. And let me tell you something. When you read through that document, and I mean really read through that document, you're going to find out it's nothing. They ask questions like, how do you plan to operate? What services do you plan to provide? How many employees do you plan? I mean, it's simple stuff. But when people see this big packet of papers, all these questions, they get really antagonized, and they feel like, oh God, I can't do this. I can't fill this out. Yes, you can. You can do this, okay? The other thing is that fill out as much as you can. There are nonprofit organizations that will work with you and help you to fill out your nonprofit status papers. And one of those organizations is called SCORE. And SCORE is an acronym for something retired executives. These are people that used to be CEOs of nonprofits, and they know the ins and outs of the nonprofit business, and they are retired, and so they help others who are trying to start up their nonprofit business. Now, how do you find them? Well, you call SCORE, S.C.O.R.E. You call SCORE, tell them what your needs are, and they will help you get partnered with someone that can help you. There is also another organization, National Organization of Nonprofits or something like that. Again, I will put that in the description box below. Another organization that you want to pair up with, especially if you're trying to get your CAE certification, is the association ASAE, American Society of Association Executives. You also want to pair up with SOCMA, SOCMA, so that when you do your business travel, you can link up with those hotels and purveyors that provide the best services rates and everything that you need as a nonprofit owner. So again, you want to get a membership with, you want to be connected in the industry. The best way to be connected in the industry is to join up with one of these associations. And again, the biggest association out there is ASAE, American Society of Association Executives. And they're really, I love working with them in terms of resources. If I need something, they're my go-to for resources. So get a membership with ASAE. I think it's like, it could be anywhere. It depends. I forget that there's a sliding scale, and it goes from $250 to $500 a year. And then you can also get an individual membership as well. But as a business and as a nonprofit, you want to go with the business membership. That's the best thing for you. What else can I tell you? Make sure that you plan your events accordingly. Make sure that you do have events. Having events is what's going to keep and get your name out into your arena of organizations that are like yours. Develop a business plan. How are you going to operate? How are you going to pay your employees? And it's best to hire an accounting firm. It's not as expensive as you might think it is. Okay, to hire an accounting firm. That way your I's are dotted, your T's are crossed, your bills are paid. You're not in trouble with the IRS for forgetting to fill out your IRS forms. Speaking from experience, I wasn't in trouble, but they just kind of gave me a friendly reminder. By the way, you didn't file your tax forms for your organization. And I didn't make any money, so it was all zero across the boards. I mean, because, you have your events, you pay for, your services rendered at your events, and, you're broke afterwards, and then you've got to do another fundraiser. So, it's a cycle. I won't say it's a vicious cycle, but it's a cycle, What else can I tell you? After you develop your business plan, you want to, I think I talked about the articles of incorporation. When I did my articles of incorporation, that cost me $90. You can do that at DLLR, Department of Labor and Licensing and Registration, is where you get your articles of incorporation. And again, it depends on whether you're going to be incorporated, LLC. You look up and find out which one is going to work best for you. Again, you need to have your board of directors established. These are people that you want to have people that are well connected in the business industry. You want to have somebody who's a lawyer. You want to have somebody who's a doctor. You want to have somebody who is in corporate America. You want to have someone in private industry. You want to have someone in government, a congressman, a delegate, you want people who are well connected, so that when it's time for you to have your fundraisers, you go to them and say, look, we're having a fundraiser. I need you to get me 10 names from the people that you know, okay? Congressman so-and-so, I need 10 names of people that you know to come to my fundraiser. Delegate so-and-so, I need 10 names from your roster. Dr. so-and-so, I need 10 names from your roster. Local business owner who grossed, $12 million last year. I need 10 names from your customer roster. And this is how you have successful fundraisers, okay? It's not just inviting anybody. you get your board of directors and you make sure that your board of directors are well connected in the community. You make sure that they're well connected to their credit cards and finances as well. Okay? So like I said, when it's time to have that fundraiser, you've got 10 people coming from Congressman so-and-so's camp. You've got 10 people coming from Senator so-and-so's camp. 10 people coming from Delegate so-and-so's camp. 10 coming from Dr. so-and-so's camp. 10 coming from, like I said, the person who made $12 million in their business last year. Well-connected people. That's how you have... that's your platform. That's your foundation for a good fundraiser. Okay, you also want to pair up with a fundraising organization if you've never done fundraisers before. There's plenty of videos on the internet, on YouTube, about how to have fundraisers, but the best place to go is to Google and put in fundraisers, how to have fundraisers. And that's how I learned to do my fundraisers, and they were very successful. Okay. You want to set a goal. You always want to set a goal for your fundraiser. And when you have your fundraiser for the following year, you always want to increase your goal by at least 10 to 12%. Most people say stay at 8%. I've always reached for a 10 to 12% increase on my fundraisers. So, yeah. Okay. You do not pay your board of directors. Don't let anybody tell you that you do. Don't let anybody railroad you into paying your board of directors. Your board of directors are not paid people. They are those, again, that are well connected within the community, that are in good standing in your community, who, make your organization vital and maintain its buoyancy and ensures that your organization continues to thrive. Okay? You also want to develop an advisory board. Your advisory board, again, they are people who are well connected but maybe don't have the money, or maybe not so much as the financial connections, but they've got great ideas about what your organization can do to grow. Okay? And they may happen to be a director at somebody's nonprofit organization. They know the ins and outs. So you want these people on your advisory board. And these people, along with your board of directors, will help you in terms of development, how your organization will grow, how it will thrive, how it will make money, what your next fundraiser will be. And you always want to remember to acknowledge people that have helped your organization along every year. You cannot forget to acknowledge those who have helped you. You can't forget to acknowledge those that you are representing in this organization that you're starting. Excuse me. Say you have an organization for pet, or a nonprofit for pet owners, and Maggie was the best, dog walker in the world, last year, according to your organization. Well, you want to hand Maggie a nice trophy in front of your board of directors, your advisory board, in front of the public eye. One thing you also want to do to keep your organization up, vital, and buoyant is to make sure that every time something occurs within your organization, you put out a press release. It doesn't matter whether it's bad or whether it's good. Put the press release out. You be the first to put that information out about what's going on in your organization. And it doesn't matter how small it is, okay? Whenever something occurs that is noteworthy, put out a press release. Okay, make sure you go through that press release. Make sure it is worded well. It is grammatically correct. Spelling is correct. and make sure you have contact information listed below so that if the media or press want to get in touch with you, they can do so and they can interview you and talk to you more about your efforts. Make sure that you, along with, press releases, that when you have your events that you also contact the media and let them know about upcoming events. Make sure that you are well connected with the media, that you know who the news desk administrators are, so that when you've got something coming up and you want to be on air to talk about your events, you call that person up and say, hey, Helen, I'm having such and such and such and such on such and such date. Can you set me up for a date to do an interview so that we can get this information out into the public? And you want to do more PSAs than paid spots, because who wants to pay for spots? If you can get a PSA, and as a nonprofit, you should be able to get PSAs, public service announcements. Do that. Let me come right back because my battery is about to run out. Okay, sorry. There's a very good book out. There's a lot of great reads about starting a nonprofit, but one of the best books that I ever read, and I mean it was short. I mean it wasn't short, but it was brief, concise, and straight to the point. It was a book called Not on This Board. Okay. And I forget who it's by, but just Google it. I'm sure you can find it on Amazon, but it's called Not on This Board. And it was a great resource. It talks to you about, the do's and don'ts of having your board of directors. You can get some real sticklers if you don't know your board of directors and you just reach out to anybody just because they happen to be well connected in the community. And sometimes that's not the best way to go, just because they're well connected in the community. But you want to make sure it's people you can get along with, people that you can help move forward and make decisions when it's time, especially when it comes to making decisions about your salary and how much you get paid a year, because, as the CEO, founder, and president, it's up to you to decide what your salary is. Well, not so much you. You go to your board of directors and you say, this is what I need to make in order to run this organization, and you do a presentation to your board of directors. And hopefully they are pretty much in line with your salary, in their salary as well, so there isn't too much hemming and hawing and, dragging of feet when it's time to approve your salary every year. So, yeah. Anyway, and of course you go through that yearly and approve salaries and increase salaries and all of that. So that's a little bit about how to start a nonprofit. That's the bare bones. If you have any other questions, just send them to me and I'll answer them as best as I can. But that'll get you started. That will get you started. And the biggest piece that you need to get started is naming your organization, getting your board of directors, your advisory board put together, your mission statement, your bylaws, getting your nonprofit status, your articles of incorporation, and those are going to be your two biggest hurdles. Getting your articles of incorporation, that's not such a big deal. But getting through the nonprofit status papers with the IRS, it can be a little tedious, especially if there's something you don't understand. But let me tell you this, the IRS is very helpful. Very helpful. I was so very surprised. Oh, and let me tell you this also. My congresswoman at the time, if you want to have your nonprofit status if you want the process to be expedited, all you have to do is contact. This is why I'm always in contact with my congressman and my senator. All you have to do is contact your congressman's office, explain to them what your mission is, what the name of your organization is, what you're trying to do. And I mean, of course, we're all trying to do something that's noteworthy and good, and your congressman will be like, oh, definitely, we definitely want to push that through. And your congressman will send a letter on your behalf to the IRS and say, look, we need to expedite this particular organization's nonprofit status. They will do that for you. Your congressman, your senator, they will do that for you. My congressman and my senator both did it for me. My congressman's or my congresswoman's office was more in tune with working with me. I mean, because they kept in contact with me, okay? And they were like, is everything going okay? Have you heard back? What's going on? Can we do anything? I mean, they were just so attentive, in helping me get my organization up and running. But they will do that for you. That's one thing that they will do for you. And instead of it taking 30 days, it might only take 2 weeks. It just depends, because here's the other part. Depending on how well you fill out your nonprofit status forms, it all depends on how quickly you get your nonprofit status and how quickly you get approved for nonprofit status. And the IRS is very much into getting nonprofit statuses approved, or at least they were back in 2001 or 2002 when I applied. Okay, they were very helpful. And when you leave something blank, they will call you and say, listen, this was left blank. They'll read the question to you and they'll ask you, what do you want to put, what is your response to this? And they will help you. They will say, well, if you respond this way, it'll help you. If you respond that way, it might not be of a good help. I mean, they are really there to help. I'm not kidding you. They really want to help you get your, They really want to help you get your nonprofit status, and they do everything that they can to help you. And if you've got a great congressperson like I do, and I've had 2 great congresspeople in that office, and they don't play. They don't play. If I ask for something to be done, or if I need help with something, in 24 hours or less, it's done. Or I get a phone call or something. Okay, and I'm nobody, when I say I'm nobody, I don't want to say I'm nobody. I'm just like anybody else is what I want to say. I'm just like any and every other citizen that walks this great United States. Okay, I have no push, I have no pull. Okay, but I have a great and responsive congressional leadership in place that just pulls through when I need them to pull through. They really do. And they'll help you if you need it. I'm pretty sure that they will. So, I'm so sorry. I got a little bit of air. So good luck on starting your nonprofit. Thanks for that question. I hope that this has helped. If you need more information, let me know. I'll provide as much information as I can. And I'll respond as quickly as I can. But thank you. That was a great question. I'm always willing to help somebody, pull up by their bootstraps and get moving, And let me just give you this little bit of advice. In having a nonprofit organization and doing things. When I had my first event back in 2008, let me say my first major event, I had several others beforehand, but my first major event was over 1,000 people. I'd never done anything like that a day in my life. And the day of the event, I stood there in the middle of the floor and I said, what in the hell have you done? I was scared to death. I got out of my car, I pulled up in the parking lot, and I was ready to throw up. But when it was all over, when the end of the day came, I was like, I don't believe it, but I did it. And I did it alone because, number one, I'm not very trusting of people. Because I've asked people, you know how when you ask somebody to do something, or somebody will say to you, oh, well, let me know if you need help, I'll help. And you ask them for help and then they don't come through, or they give you some sad ass excuse and, oh, I didn't get a response. I left a message. I sent an email, but nothing came to fruition, I've had that happen to me a number of times, so therefore I feel like I'm responsible for everything, and I've got all these reins in my hand, and I'm trying to reel all these things in and, check my checklist off and make sure that everything's been done, that, the caterer has been paid, that the audio visual company has been paid, and they've got the microphones, and they've got the podiums, and they've got the stages in place, and did they bring enough tables? I needed 80 tables and I only got 71 tables. I need 9 more tables before 8 o'clock. Oh God. It was unnerving, it was, but it was the best time of my life because it let me know that the only thing that ever held me back from doing anything that I wanted to do was me. Yep. But like I said, my biggest event was in May 2008, May 10th, 2008, Mother's Day weekend. At our mall here, we had 1,000 people attend. We gave away 1,000 bags. We had people stopping by different tables for information. And, when people tell you that they go and, they purchase a table and they set up a table, that's great. That's a good thing. That's a good way to get out in the community and get your business out there. That's a great thing. But I was the one who was setting up those tables. Not literally. I had a company that came in and did the carpeting and the draping and the backdrops and the tables and the skirts that go around the tables and the tablecloths that you put on the table first. You got to put on the tablecloth, then you put the skirt on, then you put your name across the front of the table, and then you've got the drape in back of the table with the business name, up on the marquee behind the person, Yeah. So when you talk about being that one person that comes to set up, to sell whatever it is you sell, that's great. That is marvelous. That's spectacular. That's wonderful. But I was the one coordinating all 81 of those tables, calling and contacting people. I've not received your $150 for your table. And here's another tip. When you have an event like that, and you have guest speakers, you're supposed to pay your guest speakers. Your guest speakers are not supposed to pay you. And I guess my guest speakers didn't know any better, and I didn't know any better. And my guest speakers ended up paying me to come and speak at my event. It's kind of embarrassing in hindsight because I should have known better, You don't get money from your guest speaker. You pay your guest speaker. But it was my first major event. I didn't know. I guess they didn't know. Or they just wanted to be there that bad that, they paid me to be a guest speaker at my event. So I knew better next time. And that's another thing, when you have your guest speakers, that's, all part of your budgeting for the year. When you have events like that, you've got to figure in, that $1.5 million to pay Camille Cosby to come and speak at your event. Yeah. It's not that you can't get her to come. You have to raise the money at your fundraisers to have her come there. It's all doable. It's all doable, And you reach out to Toastmasters. That's another thing. Oh, yeah, definitely. When you decide to start your nonprofit, connect with your local Toastmasters in your area. Toastmasters, if you don't know, it's a group of individuals, and they teach you to do public speaking. And they usually meet every Tuesday, every first Tuesday of the month, or whatever Tuesday or whatever day they deem. But I think here it's every third Tuesday or something like that, where they come together and they have a luncheon. So you get fed, if that's important to you. And you're taught to do public speaking. So, I haven't been to Toastmasters in quite some time. I'm still doing public speaking. Not on the scale or at the rate that I was, after 2008, because in 2008 is when I got injured and things really came to a dramatic halt for me. But I got off the steroids back in 2012. My health has improved dramatically, and I'm able to do a lot more now. So it's time for me to get back out there, start public speaking again. You know, some people are terrified by public speaking. Me, I'm not. I'm such a cut up. When I get in front of a crowd, because people want to laugh. People want you to do well. People are not sitting there just waiting for you to fail and fall on your face. Trust me. Listen to me when I'm talking to you, okay? When I tell you, if you want to go speak about how to take care of your car, okay? You're only going to have car enthusiasts there, okay? They're anxious to know what you have to say, okay? They're not going to judge you. At worst, they're going to share with you their experiences otherwise. That's it. They want you to do well. They're not there to hiss and boo you. So I always tell people, don't be nervous. Don't be afraid to get up there and talk. Get up there and have fun. You know, have an agenda. Practice your agenda before you get up there. And go up there and have fun. You know, when you make it fun for yourself, your audience has a good time too. Okay? And that's one of the things that I also learned at Toastmasters. And if you're in the DC metropolitan area, I was fortunate enough to meet Willie Jolly. And his son actually went to school with my sons. And I was actually able to go to a number of his seminars. He wrote the book, A Setback is an Opportunity for a Comeback, or something like that. You ever heard of that? Yeah, well, he said that, and he wrote that book, and he's the motivational speaker. But he's been all over the world to speak. But like I said, I was fortunate enough to, be around him enough and to learn enough from him and attend some of his events. So, and he's connected with Toastmasters as well. He's the one that told me to get on board with Toastmasters. So that's going to help you too in terms of public speaking. That's enough. I think I have shared enough. Oh, wow. This was 28 minutes. I think I've talked for maybe an hour. Sorry. But this was really good. Thanks, Angel. I hope this helped not only you, but somebody else who's considering starting a nonprofit or doing public speaking or whatever. And if you have any questions about public speaking or public speakers, if you ever want to hire someone to be a public speaker, you can always contact Who Represents. That's an organization that I work with when I need a public speaker. And you always want to get in touch with their publicists. Usually their managers don't do too much. Usually there's a what do you call that? Not a database, but for lack of a better term, there is usually a database that you can go to and find the public speaker that you're looking for, and you can go and look for them according to how much you want to spend, The average public speaker gets about $10,000. The good ones, the ones that you really want to hear from, usually get about $10,000. But then again, if you've got a nonprofit organization, that's all part of your fundraising effort. That's where you raise your money to pay for your public speaker, to pay for, your event, your room, your catering, your insurance. Oh, that's another thing. When you start a nonprofit, you must have board of director insurance. Excuse me. You must have board of director insurance. You can't. You cannot have an organization without it, because here's what happens. If something happens with one of your board of directors or something like that, and they end up getting sued for something, you are protected by your board of directors insurance. And When I started out, board of directors insurance was about $1,000 a year. It's not too expensive, but then again, that's another expense that you figure into your fundraising efforts. But you cannot exist. How did I forget that? Oh my gosh. That is, you, no, you don't want to, no. Excuse me. You cannot have an organization without board of director insurance. It's just like you don't get into your car without car insurance. You don't have children. You don't have a family. You know, you don't live on this planet unless you have insurance, life and medical. You don't do it. You know, so for all these people crying about Obamacare or, you know, the Affordable Care Act, you just, you don't, you're not here without insurance. You got to have insurance, you know. Yeah. So anyway, I'll be back for another video. I'm feeling better now that I'm sitting down. I did take my iron. I'm drinking my water. It's only when I get up and I move around a little bit, I get a little lightheaded and my heart starts to pound, but I'm feeling better. So I'll be back with another video soon. See ya. Bye.
Okie dokie. So that's what it's all about. And having said that, I will be going to some of the nonprofits that we have started. I will be representing PALEF. That's P-A-L-E-F, and that stands for the Performing Arts for Life and Education Foundation. As the chief webmaster of the site, I will be speaking with Mr. Douglas. He's the CEO and founder. This is what he has to say.